Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Sales B12, the one dose of sales you don't want to miss. I'm Caryn Kopp, Chief Door Opener. We are best known for the door opener service at Kopp Consulting, where we land the important B2B prospect meetings for our clients. And I'm here with Jack Daly, who normally I introduce, but today I'm going to have him introduce himself. So, Jack, you're
Okay.
on.
I think most everybody out there knows who I am. For 2 decades, I built companies. They were all very fast growing and highly profitable. But for the last 30 years, I've traveled all over the planet helping salespeople and sales managers and entrepreneurs and owners of businesses scale their revenue, scale their profits. But from a seller standpoint, what I really enjoy is watching their incomes grow as a result of best practices.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about some of those best practices today.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So today's episode is how to reach hard to reach decision makers. Because if you don't reach the decision makers and you don't get in the door, guess what? You don't get to do anything else in sales. And when people come to me and they want to learn about outsourcing the door opening to land the meetings with executive level prospects, one of the things that puts the leaders on my doorstep is that their producers are having trouble reaching the hard to reach decision makers. So, Jack, why do you think sellers are having such a hard time connecting with prospects these days?
I'm going to give it to you real simple, then I'll make it a little bit more complex. The simple answer is because they're too busy selling and people don't want to be sold. So the first stop that you need to do is you need to figure out what's the purpose here, and not from your standpoint, I'm trying to get a deal, close a deal, book a sale, make a dollar. It has to be changed into an orientation of what value am I bringing to the prospect? Why should they bother entertaining a conversation with me? Quite frankly, I am pummeled now that we can leverage technology. I'm pummeled with people telling me all the things they can do for me. But the thing that I find, Caryn, is hardly anybody has done any homework.
Yeah.
Look, the big point here is that if you're going to do an effective job of prospecting, you need to recognize it's going to take time. It's going to take a multiplicity of touches. And the touches can't be all about your product and service. It has to be about me and my needs, if you will, my pains, my pleasure points. So salespeople today have such a dramatic advantage compared to selling 10, 15 years ago. And I could break it down into many, many pieces, but I'm just going to do one piece, and that is the web, the internet itself. The amount of homework I can do before I even begin to prospect on the company that I'm going after and the individual decision maker is significant. I am an open book to the world. Social media, websites of mine. I have Jack Daly's lifebydesign.com, jackdalysales.com, and you can find so many things about me, and you can attach some things in your outreach that resonate with me personally. But how often am I running into that? If there's 10,000 outreaches a year to get my eyeballs and response by me, I would tell you less than 10 of 10,000 outreaches exemplify anybody doing any homework. But
Right.
you know, I got a Guinness World Record that I set. Well, that's on my website. That's out there in social media, and it's a big deal to me. It's even a
Yeah.
bigger deal to my grandkids. But how about somebody that found that out and then said when on one of their outreaches that they were thrilled that they got to set a Guinness World Record? But they didn't tell me what they set a Guinness World Record for. I actually responded to that. Like I wanted to know what they got it for, and we engaged in a conversation. And by the way, Me and that seller ended up 45 minutes on a phone call talking about the Guinness World Record, but then majority of it was, well, what do you do? And is there an opportunity for us to do business together? Do the homework. Do the
Right.
homework and then put it into your touches. And the more that your homework reflects that you're bringing value to the person, let them then say, I want to do business with you because of that, right? So, as I often do, what are you guys doing? What do you find is working?
Yeah, well, I mean, what you're saying is so incredibly right. I mean, at the 30,000-foot level, and I'm going to circle back to piggyback on something that you said about the homework, but our people are doing the work. They're doing it. They're spending time doing the work and they're doing it right. And when I, as the CEO of my company, get outreaches from people wanting to sell things to Kopp Consulting, they are not doing their homework. They're not doing the work correctly. They're not saying something that's meaningful. Why? Because they're just going through the motions. They're just trying to get a certain number of calls in, a certain number of emails in. Maybe they don't love this part of the job, like we've talked about on some of our other Sales B12s. So they're not in it in the moment. But we have a door opener on our team who told me a story last week about getting a meeting with a C-suite person in an enterprise level company. Not easy to get meetings like that. And what did she do to get that? So she told me that when she was doing her research, she found a TED Talk that this C-level person had done. It took 10 minutes to watch that TED Talk, but the talk was all about something very emotional for that person. It was about a health issue that that person struggled with. And so then my person's telling me that she's listening to this and she's thinking of what is she going to say in the voicemail, or what would she say in the live dialogue when she reaches that person live? What is she going to write in the email? And she puts on her hat and she thinks about what she's going to say. And then she puts on the hat of the other person. How is it going to be received? Is it going to land? Is it going to help that person understand why a meeting is going to be the best decision they make all week? And if the answer is no, she's going to change her approach a little bit. And what you said before, this takes time. And most sellers don't spend the time, and worse, most managers don't want to give the sellers the amount of time they need in order to figure out what is that insight that's going to make the difference. So our door opener said, after doing all that work, she left the message and her voice broke up a little bit on the voicemail. And she said, normally I don't get this emotional when I'm leaving a voicemail, but that's what watching your TED Talk did for me. And here's why I want to have this conversation with you and have a meeting. And she got a call back from that person that probably 100 other people have tried to get meetings with and didn't.
I
That
love
is,
this. I love this real world example, and I'm going to make it fresh by 24 hours. Last night, I snuck in around the golf, and I just showed up at the course. I didn't have a tee time, and it's at my club. And they said, "Do you mind playing with these two guys?" And I said, "No, I just want to get out and knock the ball around." I'm with two 26-year-old guys. Now, as we get on the course, I discover that they're both sellers. One of them is in technology space, the other guy's in the medical space. And so we're having a dialogue along the way, and we discover that Jack's done a bunch of marathons and Ironmans and that type of thing, and these kids, as I will call them, are enthralled with this, and one of them says, "My mom's done 40 marathons, 40 marathons, including Boston several times," and we got to talking about that and so forth. And I said, "Hey, when we finish, just come out to the parking lot. I've got some books in my car that I'd like to give you." So I gave them each Hyper Sales Growth, and I gave them each Life by Design. Uh, this is an incredibly beautiful thing. I then said goodbye to these two kids. I did not get out of the parking lot, and I had a text from one of them saying, reinforcing what they learned from me and what about me personally. Would it be okay if I hooked up my mom to talk to you because of your marathon experience? But the thing that impressed me the most was I hadn't left the parking lot. Now I teach that, that when you make a call, immediately right, differentiate yourself from the competition. Well, by the time I got home, which is a 15-minute drive from the club to my house, both of them had LinkedIn with me and messaging back and forth and touching on things they learned about me personally.
Yeah.
There's no question that these two kids are successful salespeople. They listened, they took action, they did it quickly, and they leveraged what they learned about me. And I am telling you, there's no question in my mind, by next week, they're going to know a whole heck of a lot more about me. And I bet there's going to be an increased relationship that develops. That's the mark that you talked about with the emotional TED, the mark that I'm talking about. Are you as a seller doing the work? Are you taking the time? And then are you leveraging what you learn and then making it into something that can move this transaction into something more than just hitting them up with a cold message?
Yeah. And you know what, Jack? Like, companies spend hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to figure out why they're different. And I'm here to say to people, nobody cares why you're different. Nobody. Not in sales, they don't. They don't care why you're different. They only care why you are of more value to them. And if you can articulate that in language that's relevant and compelling, you win. If you don't, you lose. You don't have to do a whole lot of differentiation if you're differentiating yourself in sales by doing the work, doing it the right way, because your competition, they are not doing that. They're sending a bunch of emails. They don't pick up the phone and call. Email alone doesn't work. Phone alone doesn't work. Email, phone combination with personalized, well-done LinkedIn, not the kind where you send a connect and then you spam somebody with a very long message and a video in it. I'm talking about a heartfelt LinkedIn message. This is what's working, and the competition is not doing it. They're also giving up. Consistency is the key when it comes to this, and hanging in there until somebody is ready.
Caryn,
Most people don't do that.
there's a bunch of leaders that are absolutely not going to like this message that I'm giving right now. And that is this. I'd rather have my sellers doing 10 high quality with homework reach outs than
That's right.
50 generic blast. And yet,
Right.
the majority of leaders are measuring it based on the quantity. And so if I could do 10 a day with homework and they're high quality, and I flip 4 of the 10 into actual business conversations that lead to business being developed, that will absolutely crush the guy doing 50 of a generic AI helped message. And I'm telling you, that's going on because I'm getting attacked on my coaching, my CEO coaching business. I'm being attacked right now by all these folks saying, I can get you an extra $20,000 a month in business or this many more leads and so forth and so on. But here's the thing, they're coming from all these different people. The message is word for word.
Yeah,
So
right.
so it's all broken. It's absolutely broken. And quite frankly, I hold the sellers not as responsible as I hold the leaders.
Yes, absolutely. This is coming from the leaders, right? So there are a lot of times, and we've talked about this on a different Sales B12, is that the sellers really want to do the work the right way. The leaders are imposing KPIs that are the antithesis of doing work the right way, or they're giving work to their sellers, like generating reports, being on internal company meetings, training the person who's next to them, that actually keep them from the work of sales. We have a whole Sales B12 about that, which is really critical. So that people have to do the work, they have to do it the right way, make it about the other person, not about you. And if you do that in every single connect, whether it's a voicemail, live dialogue, a LinkedIn message or a well-done personalized email, you will be able to get through. I mean, we've been in business for 25 years. If we weren't getting through and getting these meetings with decision makers, we wouldn't be in business, right? So it is possible.
Yeah, well, look, even more emphatic, your business, it continues to grow because of all of the malpractices that are taking place that are proving to not be successful. Because if
That's
people were doing the things that your folks are doing, then your business would be impaired because they wouldn't need your team. Okay. So it's all
that's
about doing the right thing. I'm going to tell you, usually close these sessions down. I think we ought to close this session down on that point. What do you
I
think?
agree. I agree. Everybody, thank you for joining us for this episode of Sales B12. And we invite you to listen to the other episodes as well. Jack, thanks so much. It was a great episode for everybody.
Yeah, great catching up with you too. Good to see you.